We're now just 50 days away from January 1st. That's when Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani will be sworn into office. And in the coming days and weeks, Mamdani will be announcing a wide range of appointments from deputy mayors to commissioners. Joining me now to talk about the ongoing transition period and how the mayor-elect seeks to implement his ambitious agenda is the incoming first deputy mayor. Dean Fuleihan is a veteran of state and city government who previously served as first deputy mayor and as budget director under former Mayor Bill de Blasio. He also held staff positions in the state assembly for 3 decades, including 16 years as a top policy advisor to the Speaker of the Assembly. Welcome back to the program. Very good to see you.
Errol, always a pleasure, and I'm really happy to be back.
Absolutely. Well, now, when did you get the call, and were you surprised?
So it wasn't a call in that sense. We developed a relationship before the primary. In late winter, we talked about government, City Hall. I had been incredibly impressed by this campaign and the agenda that Zohran Mamdani had put forward at that time, and then we just kept continuing that. My advising the candidate and staff, and we continued to do that. So it was much more a natural progression, and I had said early on to him, whatever you need me to do, I believe in what you've outlined, I believe the crisis that you've identified, and that it can be implemented. So inside or outside, I'm there to help.
And something my viewers don't know, but that you and a number of other government veterans, Michael Jacobson and Mark Shaw, are part of this Center for City and State?
No, it's the Institute for State and Local Government.
State and Local Government at CUNY.
At CUNY.
Good old CUNY.
Yes.
Doing its job once again.
Absolutely.
So that even before this campaign season, you'd been talking with incoming city council members and assembly members, probably including Zohran Mamdani, right?
Thank you so much for raising this, because I love having conversation about CUNY and the Institute. And after I'd left, after the end of the de Blasio administration, I joined the Institute. It's an amazing place. We've had you there.
I come when you call. I come when you call. Yes.
You've participated, but it's a research institute that helps the City University, helps CUNY itself on its budget and its planning, but also works with other struggling communities around the country on both criminal justice and budget and finance. But it also brings in newly elected officials, and that's where you've participated.
Right.
So it brings in those newly elected officials and their senior staff in New York and goes through a training program. And we've been lucky enough to have you and other experts come in and talk to them while we describe what's the budget of the state, what's the budget of the city, what can you learn from this, what are the advocacy, what are the major issues, whether it's healthcare or education. So the Institute's it really is a wonderful place.
So all of the officials who came through there, save your notes, go back and look at your notes,
yes.
Because school is going to be back in session in January.
Correct.
What are best practices when it comes to the number of deputy mayors? I know it really varies from one administration to the next.
It really does. It even varies within an administration. I think the Koch administration, I know I'm dating myself, but I'm allowed to. The Koch administration went from, I think it had very few and then a huge number and then reduced it again. It's what it works for each mayor, and it's comfortable in the span of control. Look, we've identified that we have, because it's such an ambitious agenda, let's break it down, right? The mayor-elect has been very clear. We're going to make the city, we have operational responsibilities. We're not going to lose those. We're going to do them. We're going to do them better. We have very clear policy goals on affordability that we have to implement. We can implement. We're going to have to negotiate with the state. We're going to have to work through that. So that's the policy goal. So when you put, and then we have the fiscal responsibility goal. We have the budget, which is going to come out February 1st. And we have to make sure that we continue that responsibility, which I've been a part of, and I'm proud to be a part of, and the city has now had 45 years of very good fiscal management. That's obviously going to continue. So all those things need to move forward.
You've been part of really, really tough budgets, mostly during your Albany years.
Yes.
Austerity budgets, you could even call them. You had a run of, some of it was just luck, right? But you had a really good run during the de Blasio years, where there were no deficit or much less difficult decisions that had to be made around overall spending, I guess, is what I remember.
Except for the early parts of COVID, where obviously revenues had dropped off significantly. We had very high unemployment, and economic activity had stopped as federal money. It then started to revive, and federal money came in. But there was a period where we were really having to be very careful with our priorities, and of course, setting a budget's all about priorities.
What do you expect to see happen? I mean, there are a number of different scenarios where what is being at least threatened by the president personally of the United States, and what might happen out of Washington, with sort of an Albany overlay. You're going to have to figure out a lot really quickly in the first 8 weeks, right?
Sure, we're starting that right now. We're not waiting to the beginning of January. We're starting that process now. We're meeting with the governor's staff. We're going to be working together on an agenda. We see commonality in that agenda, right? The governor has said very much support of universal child care. It's one of the major agenda items now of both leaders, their support in the legislature. The governor did too, a child care tax credit in the last budget, so clearly there's a commitment there. Implementation is going to be difficult, but I'm quite sure working together we can figure out a way to do that. There are many Albany issues. Their budget's going to be coming out, our budget's going to be coming out, and we're going to, we know that we have a very aggressive agenda, and the implementation of it is a responsibility that we're all taking on and we're going to accomplish.
So now I assume that despite what we've heard from some commentators and from, frankly, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, that you must have said and must have concluded, as you spoke with Zohran Mamdani, that his agenda is doable, that it's not pie in the sky, it's not impossible, it's not impossibly expensive. It's something that can be done within the confines of a system that you know better than almost anybody.
Definitely. I mean, the answer is to that, yes. And you and I have actually witnessed many times when someone said or commented, can't be done. And then 3 months later, it gets done. I was part of universal pre-K with Mayor de Blasio, and everybody said could not happen in the Education Department, take 5 years. The then governor of New York, impossible, start with a pilot. And it happened in 2 years. And the state helped support it.
Right, right. And you're expecting a similar success here?
I think we have to have the similar success. The residents of the city have spoken, and it's been very clear, and they've done it in amazing numbers, and their response to the Mamdani campaign is that this has to happen. So I don't see it as a question of choice, but there is, how do we get there?
Right. I guess a final question is, what about what I think people like you think of as political noise? The actions of the president, the kind of the publicity that comes around threatening to send in the National Guard and things like that. Are those mere distractions, or can it really sort of derail the progress that you're trying to make on any given policy initiative?
Look, we can't let it derail the policy. Every action, the operations of the city have to continue. If there are federal actions, the mayor-elect's been very clear. He's going to defend the city in any means possible, but he's willing to have conversations with the president. He's willing to have conversations with anyone in Washington. The goal is to help the city that we all care about, that we all want to, that we know needs serious issues addressed. And that's what we're going to do.
Okay. We look forward to getting more details as D-Day approaches and as we go into the new administration. Congratulations again. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.